So have you seen this? Burnley have a chance to break King Jose's defensive record this season for goals conceded. So what we're going to try and do today is replicate it with Burnley and even try and beat it on Football Manager, which is going to be incredibly hard. For attempt 1, I thought I'd trust the system and go with a preset park the bus 4-4-2. But after only 6 matches, we'd already conceded 10 goals and failed miserably, not to mention being 19th in the league. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the presets this season are decent, but park the bus just never works. So for attempt 2, I thought I'd combine a preset of Catenaccio with my version, Stingaccio. So it's still a defensive mentality and most of the team instructions are pretty defensive. I mean, look at the state of the out of possession stuff. And it started well with a clean sheet against Bristol City, but things soon started to turn, especially losing to Plymouth, and then 3 against Sheffield Wednesday. And after 10 matches, we'd blown it again. We all know defensive football in Football Manager is pretty tricky, and I am proving that right now. For attempt 3, I went for a 4-5-1. Really concentrating on a super solid defence. In fact, I've got 4 centre-backs in there. Now, at one stage here, we had 3 straight clean sheets against Blackburn, Portsmouth, Swansea. In fact, make that 4 against Sheffield Wednesday, despite being down to 10 men. The odd game we conceded 1, and that's totally fine. But then it came crashing down against Derby and Sunderland, which meant yet again, after only 10 matches, we'd already conceded 8. So this isn't going to work, is it? We're not going to get another 18 games and only concede 1. But the positives are we are getting better, kind of. Next up, I used the successful tactic I have been using, getting 3 centre-backs in there. And interestingly, I decided to not go too defensive in terms of team instructions. The most defensive move we probably made is having regroup on. Because when I'd used this tactic in the past, I'd conceded hardly any goals. And we started off absolutely fantastically, only conceding 1 goal in our first 5 matches. But then just one result like this can completely throw you off, especially when you get another like that. And finally, in a tough match against Leeds, we concede 3, which means despite a better performance and being 7th in the league after 11 matches, we'd conceded 11 and we are busted yet again.
Oh, shit.
Right, so here's the situation and here's the reminder. So 28 league matches, they've only conceded 9 times. So basically, according to my Steiner math, that means every 3 matches we can afford to concede once. Things were a little bit better last time, so I tried the similar thing by dropping fullbacks back. And the league performance was great. We're sitting in 2nd. We've only lost 1 match, but we've conceded 10. So despite a good league performance, it's not what we're hoping to achieve here, so that's another bust.
Take your medicine, move on.
Into the next attempt, and because we are trying to emulate the great man, I thought to myself, why not try and use a tactic inspired by him? So we're going to, using slightly more direct passing, we're going to hit up a mid-block. And again, after 10 matches, it's a good performance, only losing 1 match. But we've just conceded our 9th goal of the season, meaning it's already a bust. And that one game is the one that did us damage. So league performances are going up, goals conceded are getting better, we're getting farther down the track, but we're still way off. We're only in October and Scott Parker and his side have got through till late January. So now getting a little frustrated, I decided to check my back catalogue of saves. And I remember we used the killer tactic in this video about Galatasaray. One season using it, we scored 120 times and only conceded 27. And one of the following seasons, we only conceded 21. So it made sense to use that template for us and just go with it. And interestingly, this includes hardly any defensive instructions at all. Now granted, it didn't start too good, but then the clean sheets started to come alongside some good results. However, in a tough match away at Sheffield United, this goal here meant that despite leading the championship after 15 matches, that was the 10th goal we conceded, so it's another bust.
Heritage.
So for our next attempt, and yes, I've lost count now, all I did was I changed the mentality to cautious. Surely that'll do it, right? And it was looking blooming good as we were undefeated and top of the league after 13 matches. And this could be the one, as we've only conceded 5 times in those 13 matches. And this time, in one of the trickier matches, we even beat Sheffield United with a clean sheet. But despite that, and continuing to win, some goals were starting to creep in, which meant after 21 matches, we just conceded our 10th goal.
Cut the show.
So normally I'd be absolutely delighted with the way the team are playing. They're undefeated, the top of the league. We've only conceded 10 times, but it's just not good enough for what we're trying to do here. It either shows how well Burnley are doing this season, or how hard FM is to win and keep loads of clean sheets. But 21 is the best we've done so far, keep a note of that. I probably should stick with that and tweak it, but I tried a Chelsea Jose tactic from the archives. We've got the anchorman of Claude Makelele, and everyone feeding off Didier Drogba, and even an attacking midfielder of Lampard. And as you can see, we've got the counter and regroup going on, alongside a little cheeky mid-block. And in the first 6 matches, we only conceded 1 goal. But the Championship is hella tough. It's one of the tougher leagues in the world, and goals were starting to creep in. So yet again, despite being the top of the league and undefeated, we'd conceded 10 goals this time after 13 matches. We're going backwards.
In big trouble.
Now what's most frustrating about this one is I love that tactic. It's not your typical high press, high line. It's proper pragmatic-ish kind of football, but it didn't do the job. This league, the Championship, is brutal. I think it was a different type of league and you're a dominant team. You could do this challenge pretty easily, maybe. So for the next attempt, what I'm going to try is I'm going to micromanage like crazy. What I mean by that is I'm not just going to stick to this tactic and let it play through. I'm going to have 3 versions and I'm going to tweak it in matches as we go to try and claim these clean sheets. So we'll start with this one because we know it does well. Then, if we're in the lead and we want to hold on, we're going to drop to this one, which simply means mentality goes down to defensive. If we're really holding on, I've got this one called Defend for Your Life, and we'll do that in the last 2-3 minutes of matches. And we've been doing that the first 4 matches of this attempt, and so far 4 clean sheets. Now 1 is the cup, so 3 clean sheets out of 3. Touch wood, this is going all right. So it's time to see it in action, such as this match against Hull. So we're 1-0 up after 77 minutes. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to drop some of the players' duties back, so not as aggressive. Now we've lasted to 84 minutes, so we're going to drop that mentality down to defensive and drop a couple more player roles more defensive as well. As we get to the closing stages, 88 minutes, we drop a couple more team instructions in there just to help our situation up a little bit more. Now we're into injury time and there's a lot of it, so I'm going to tell my team to focus, and that gains us that victory. So we've been doing that right the way through, and as you can see, it's gone pretty well so far. Only Portsmouth scored 2 against us, and we conceded the odd 1 against Sunderland and Leeds. So what it means at the minute, after 13 league matches, ultra micromanaging, it's taken me ages. We sit top of the league, undefeated, and we've only conceded 4 times. We are on for it. We're on for it. Seriously, all respect in the world to Jose and even Scott Parker. Granted, Jose did it at the Premier League level, but the Championship, all the teams are so closely matched. It's super hard to do it. I urge you to give it a go. So now we are up to the 11th of January. Now the team have been going really well, but there's been some scary moments. Now look at this game against Millwall. We're 2-0 up, all looks comfy, but I had to drop the tactic back to the ultra defensive one there, as you can see, because they were getting on top of us and I just saw a late goal coming. And if you look at this next highlight, this sums up the way the season's been going. We've been getting lots of clean sheets, but there's been some really scary moments. Clearances off the line, throwing their bodies in the way of shots, defending like beavers. It's been a bit like that just to keep this clean sheet record intact. But keep it intact, so far we have, and as you can see by results, the tactic has been working perfectly. We're still top of the league and we are undefeated after 26 matches. This is a fantastic effort, but we are on the brink now. We've conceded 8 times and we've got 2 matches to go to match the Burnley record. Now when I say micromanage, I mean micromanage. There's no sitting back, simming through this. I've had to play every match here, and in every match we've either used this one, or this one, or this one, and more than likely and more often it's a combination of all 3 just to get this done. So we've got 2 matches to get it level now, and we've got all these matches against Hull to get out of the way. One of those will count, the Championship match. Don't worry about the FA Cup 3rd round replay. So we need to get clean sheets against Hull away, a tricky looking one at Leeds at home, and then to beat the record, it's Millwall away. So this is my challenge to you. Get yourself into the Championship, take charge of Burnley and see if you can beat this defensive record that Jose set all them years ago and Scott Parker looks like, at time of recording, is about to emulate. So we're going to play this whole match now. I'm tempted to use the main tactic first. I'm a bit worried because it is away from home, so it could be quite tricky. But in we go. Hull are not a bad team at all. They're playing a 4-3-3, so they're not going to be massively aggressive, I don't think. And there's our 4-2-4. Now this is the more attacking version that we start off with. Another thing to point out, I'll just pause it there, is when the game's in match, I keep all the stats, match momentum, things like that on screen just so I can see how it's going. Because if the match momentum, for example, starts to get out of hand, I know it's probably at a time to drop back into defensive and just weather the storm. So as the game ticks on, remember it's 15 minutes gone, it's not about results. The results have been a nice side effect. What we're trying to do here is just keep blooming clean sheets. And looking at the match momentum, it's been pretty 50-50, but Hull are starting to get the better of it, as you can see there. If I just pop it up there, they are starting to get the better of it. So after this attack, I might drop to the defensive one till half time. In fact, we're going to do that. We're just going to flip it, so all that changes is defensive mentality, just to get through till half time. It's actually working pretty well. If I press pause, look at the state of the match, right? Look at the state of the match. It's so boring. Hull have had no shots and we've had 1. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want. And ironically, it's quite similar to what Burnley have been doing this season. Half-time, absolute dour affair, but that is perfect for what we're trying to achieve. So I'm going to run the first 15 minutes on defensive, just keep an eye on the match momentum, and if it doesn't get out of hand, we might just stick there. This is what we've done well. We're winning the ball and then just taking our time, build up play. Counter-attack is on. 68 minutes gone. Hull is still struggling here. At this stage, it's really tempting to bring in some time wasting, something like that, but I don't want to change things because things are going so well. 73 minutes gone. Hull have done nothing in this match, by the way, but this guy's getting a bit too much space. It looks like a cross might be coming. I mean, how typical is that? They've done nothing. So what we need to concentrate on now is not conceding any more goals, because 1 is just about okay. So at this stage, despite losing, I am going to bring in lower tempo, drop the tempo down. I'm going to tell the keeper to slow it down. Let's take our 1-0 defeat. Okay, Hull stole one there. We absolutely dominated and we lose 1-0. And that is our first defeat of the season. But more importantly, it means we've now conceded 9 goals in the 27 matches. So if we want to equal the record, we need to have a clean sheet in our next match. And it's a tough one because it's against Leeds. And as a reminder, Burnley this season have conceded 9 goals in 28 league games. So to equal them, we need to keep a clean sheet next match. So we can't beat them outright, but what we can do is if we get a clean sheet here and then a clean sheet against Millwall and maybe another one after that, we can set the pace. So real life Scott Parker and Burnley, then I'll have to beat our record. The 30 minutes, Leeds were completely dominating the ball with 74% and just starting to get on top in terms of match momentum. So I switched it up to the defensive mentality tactic. And that seemed to work as it got us through to half time when we were taking more shots. In fact, just after half time, with 50 minutes gone, we even took the lead. But then after 57 minutes, our dreams were finally extinguished after a horrific own goal. Leeds scored another in the 96th minute and completely stole a victory, which meant after 28 matches, we've conceded 11. We just can't match Scott Parker and, more importantly, Jose Mourinho. That close. That close. Attempt number 452 was our best attempt yet, micromanaging things, and an own goal cost us equaling that record. Over to you guys. If you can do better than that, get in these comments and let me know. Now to cheer myself up, I played through the rest of the season. We absolutely smashed it. We lost another game, but we got 117 points and the goal difference was plus 74, but we ended up conceding 27. The way they've been playing, I think Burnley will have a better defensive record than that by the end of the season. But will they win the league?